There's something you should know about me. I love Battle Cattle. Me and Orisa go way back. I was playing her in top 100 lobbies in Overwatch 1, decimating against Dive before it was ever popular to play the character. So now we have her in Overwatch 2, and she ditched the shield. Instead, she has a Javelin. I can do some crazy stuff build-wise. So I'll be showing y'all my 4 favorite builds, roughly, for the character, and going over why I choose them, and talking about how fun they are, because I've been having a blast playing this character. The builds are as follows. One-shot combo using javelins into your weapon damage, followed by tank focusing on either damage reduction or a mix of AP, ability power, or full ability power. So it's going to be roughly 4 builds. We'll start with the one-shot javelin combo build, simply because it's a blast to use. First thing you take is going to be advanced robotics. And with this, the point is to simply use your javelin spin, which launches an energy javelin with less damage, but it still applies the same knockback into a wall stun for more damage. And you throw your other spear, and the moment round 2 hits, you'll start one-shotting squishies. If you stack AP correctly, you'll be doing that throughout the entirety of the game. Before getting ahead of myself, on round 1, take weapon power, weapon lifesteal, and ability power, and the moment round 2 hits, you want to get these 2 items first and foremost. Enhanced target sensors, you deal 25% more damage to enemies that are further than 12 meters away. And under ability, Arc Finder. It's the same thing, but it only applies to Energy Javelin. That's 50% more damage with your Energy Javelins on enemies that are further than 12 meters away. Use your Spin Spear, which does less damage, but it knocks them back, usually in range of being further than 12 meters, and you launch your primary Javelin that does the full damage. If they hit a wall, they're done. If both these spears connect with a wall, which if that happens, they're going to be stun locked anyway, you decimate somebody. Even if they're stacking defensive items. Towards the end game, they can stack enough to where they might live with like a sliver HP. Shoot them in the face and they're done. And they're stun locked the whole time, by the way. On round 3, I usually end up taking Hot Rotato. Javelin Spin gains 35% cooldown reduction, but now generates heat. Round 5, you have essentially 3 options. Factory Reset for more spins and javelins if you're fortified. Restortify for more healing while fortified. And Supercharger, you drop bongos for 25% more damage for 15 seconds after you ult. I normally go with Factory Reset or Restortify. We'll just say I pick Factory Reset. And round 7, I usually will pick Supercharger. Item-wise, I'll give you guys a list of what I went with in this entire game that lasted, I think, 7 rounds. So that's what I chose, and I was facing a Reinhardt, mind you. I had to avoid him and go for kills on the backline the best I could. If you're facing an Ana and Ashe, you'll decimate them beyond belief. The moment they go for a hard scope, they just get one-tapped across the map if they're near a wall. If you're against a Juno, Mercy, Reaper, Junker Queen, not the most fun because they're in the air constantly. You can still hit them, but it requires so much more effort, it's unreal. This is, again, more of a fun build. If you're trying to win games and rank up, just stack weapon power and aim for the head. Round 1, I'm taking Supercharger. The more damage you deal, the more money you make, and the better your build can be faster than everyone else's. For my items, I'm getting the first row under weapon. And when round 2 hits, I recommend getting enhanced target sensors, because this will be pretty good against most enemies. Some folks want to get close to you, but they usually have folks that don't do that. Mercy, Juno, Ana, Ashe, Soldier, they're in the backlines. Normally 12 meters away, so you get 25% more damage. And you also want to get optimized energy. Critical hits reduce your heat generation by 5%. If you're shooting into Zaryas and Reinhardts, not the greatest, so don't be doing that. Versus Orisa, all head all day. Versus Squishies, same dealio. From here, you're basically just stacking weapon power throughout the entirety of the game. When round 3 hits, I go with Centripetal Charge. I think it's how you say it. I didn't Google it. My bad. Ult cost reduction by 25%. And when I ult, I reset my cooldown so I can live longer. And I also get more superchargers because of the ult cost reduction. That's essentially the build, because most of the time when I'm playing, it doesn't make it too far past round 5. Or in this case, round 3. I tend to go with Restortify as my third option in round 5. And then Factory Reset. Recently, I sometimes take Spin Stim Update when I'm facing too many hit scan characters, because they'll sometimes shoot themselves. But people are pretty good about not doing that. And then when I'm facing an enemy Orisa that spins and deflects, my team shoots it on cooldown and kills me. It's really tragic how that works. Aside from the mainstays, the items I take are based on who I'm facing. If it's a Junker Queen, I likely want to take heal reduction when I land critical hits on them. If it's an Orisa, potentially armor pin. Or I just stack as much weapon power as possible to kill the squishies since they will sometimes be mispositioned and get destroyed in a second or so. I've only been failed by this build twice. The first is my teammate shooting the Orisa that's deflecting. Second, when you're facing a Reinhardt Lucio who's in Discord communicating like their life depends on it, what am I supposed to do against that? Genuinely speaking, I'm with Randy's, and you don't always get the best teammates, by the way. So aside from that, man, this build is a ton of fun. I love shooting Orisa's gun. It's not the same feeling as the one-shot combo build. I was laughing doing that. With this one, it takes way too much effort in the moment, but once you do get some kills and you feel the momentum, it feels good. But it doesn't make me laugh out loud the same way. That's why that one-shot javelin combo build is just, it's got a special place in my heart. Let's talk tank builds. I'll break it up into powers and items to make it more flowy. If you want to be pretty tanky, Restortify to get heals when you fortify. Hooves of Steel, small correction, take Hooves of Steel before Restortify if you can somewhat trust your supports. When you fortify, 50% of the damage you take is turned into shields and applied to your HP, increasing it to a new number. That means that you can be healed to that new number, and I went from essentially 1,000 HP to 1,800 multiple times, which is absurd. And there's other items that compound on top of that to make it even crazier. I thought it just gave you temporary shields that once they got DPS'd away, they were gone. This thing is insane. Then I recommend Supercharger or Sentry Pedal Charge. I was an absolute god when I used this. One time, by the way, and the enemy team I was facing wasn't even bad, but my supports, mostly Moira, was inting their brains out. So I had more healing than them sometimes by a decent margin. Dang near twice as much healing and around 16 to 20,000 damage mitigation. My build's 1,000 times better. What my main? If I just had them lock in, bro, I was going to be unkillable. Now for your items, I'll show what I chose in the game real quick. So I just had, I need to actually figure out what it was. Let me go ahead and pick the items first. Make it a bit easier. The final build costs 61,500. FE Serum for the Fortified Duration increase. Divine Intervention. When you take more than 100 damage at once, restore 15% of it, and start regenerating shields at that moment. When you're facing Reapers, Maze, Ashes, folks who do bursty damage, you mitigate so much damage thanks to this. I was facing an enemy Orisa who also ran a tank build. I had this and they didn't. I was doubling their damage mitigated. Something fierce. Then we get Nebula Conduit for weapon power, but also you prevent 15% of incoming damage and instead take it over a 3-second duration of time. Then you get Ogundamu Reduction Field. When you take damage, you get 0.5% damage reduction that stacks 20 times, so it's 10%. This plus Nebula Conduit is 25% damage reduction, and they both synergize very well together. Martian Mender, cooldown reduction, and restoring 3% of your life over 1 second. When you have 1,800 HP to upwards of 2,000, that's pretty freaking impactful. And Rüstung von Wilhelm, 15% health, armor, and shields increase. And while below 30% HP, you get 10% damage reduction. So we get 35% damage reduction if it's just adding and there's no other crazy formulas involved. And you become borderline a god. If your supports can heal you at all, you do not die. And you still do decent damage. If the enemy DPS are building for damage reduction, you don't do any damage at all. But if they don't, you're fine. The final build is a mix of tankiness and ability power, and you can change the formula however you want. You can go full ability power, no tankiness. It's your choice. Power-wise, I'm making it so Javelin Spinning deflects projectiles and gives me 20% of the damage dealt as ult charge. Fortify heals me, and Fortify reduces cooldown on Jav Spin and Energy Javelin. And my ultimate will give me more damage as well as my teammates more damage. These are the items I chose in my match that only lasted 5 rounds. Enemy team had a Reinhardt who I believe was stacking shield amps the entire time. So his shield was just unkillable, which kind of ruined the whole point of my build, but I still got some value. And I wish I could have gone against an Orisa. There's no way, bro.